Alright, we just finished up shooting the Glock Model 36, which is a 45 ACP, and it's a snubby, in my opinion. I like to refer to it as that. It also has a very thin grip because it has a single stack magazine. So what we're going to do, we were shooting some really crappy reloads through this thing. I guess you could notice how much it smoked. So since it was really cheap ammo, it left the gun pretty dirty. So I'm going to give it a fairly thorough cleaning, and I'm going to go through it pretty quick. I want to make sure that the gun is safe, no magazine. As you can see, there's nothing in there. No round in the chamber. So here we go. For all practical purposes, there's the main pieces that you need to do on a field strip to give it a cleaning. Alright, we're going to go ahead and proceed with the cleaning. I like to take my patches. I've got about 4 or 5 of them here that I've squirted a good bit of my solvent into. I'm going to go ahead and run one patch through it, first of all, through the barrel. Just to kind of get a little bit of solvent in there and clean out some of the residue. I flip my patches over a lot of times. I get 2 or 3 uses out of them. But since I'm going to go ahead and run a brush through it, which I don't do every time, I'm going to go ahead and saturate my brush with a little bit of my solvent. And this will be a little bit messy. But since that was lead ball ammo and it does make a mess out of the gun, I'm going with the copper brush this time. I'm going to run the brush all the way through several times, and as you can see, it's leaving a mess. And I'm going to go ahead and use my first patch that I had out a minute ago and use it again, because this ought to come out pretty nasty, as you can see. And I think I'll go ahead and try and run the brush through it a few more times. Run it through. You can see I'm still getting a lot of crud. What I'm going to do next, I'm going to use these other patches that are saturated in my solvent to clean some of the surface areas on the internals of the gun. But right now I'm going to go ahead and take my lubricating oil, my gun oil. I'm going to go ahead and saturate this patch pretty good, because I'm going to re-wipe it after I run the patches through it. Let's see how bad this looks. It's still showing up some burnt powder and deposits from that cheap ammo. Also to do a surface wipe with, since they have, and that way you kind of conserve on your lubricants and your patches. So what I'm going to go ahead and do is use it to wipe the surface of the barrel just for the moment, because I'm going to be handling it some more. Wipe out the ramp area on the barrel. And then I'm going to go ahead and go back with one of my clean patches here. Alright, what we're going to do is go ahead and take one of my patches that I've got some solvent on still, and just wipe out some of the areas on the slide. And as you can see, I'm just trying to give it a good surface wipe. Whatever you do, do not take your Glock or any other semi-auto and take a brush or a toothbrush or any kind of a cleaning tool and pour solvent on the face of the slide here where the firing pin protrudes. All that does is allow the crap that comes off of your brush and off of the gun to fall down into the area where the firing pin slides. And that can cause you some problems, so just beware. If you do need to get up there and clean, invert it, and then just use, you know, a mild amount of cleaning solution on anything that you use to wipe the surface. That if you've got night sights, like which I do here, it's been said that if you get solvent into these night sights, it can penetrate. and it can shorten the lifespan of your night sights. So stay away from your sights with your solvent. I just wanted to give you all a quick idea of how I field strip and clean a gun. Also, one of the last things, you can go ahead and take the main part of the gun and just give it a wiping down. It doesn't get too nasty in here, but you can wipe it with one of your patches. My oily patch that I had my gun oil on, and I'll just go back over the gun, wipe where you see some of the metal parts and where the slide makes contact with the guides on the frame. I usually run my fingernail through the grooves in the slide where the guides run, and then I'll take just my old rag and wipe the excess off of the gun. And I'll reassemble the gun. I'm going to re-wipe it one more time with my gun oil. I'm going to place the barrel back into the slide. I'm going to reinsert the recoil spring. Slide it back onto the frame. And do a check, pointing it in a safe direction. And there you go.